It's such an honor to be here today to talk about my passion in work and life, diversity and inclusion. And inclusion, how it started with me. As you can see, I'm Japanese American, third generation. My grandparents come from Fukuiken, Japan, along the Japan seaside. But I was born and raised in California. And I was born and raised in a very small country town called Marysville, California, on a peach farm. And I was one of 5 Asian students at my high school. I knew what it meant to be different. I knew what it meant to feel not included. I knew diversity and inclusion at a very young age. So I decided to leave the peach farm and join one of the most diverse universities in the world, University of California at Berkeley. And I was at Berkeley where I met students from all over the world, students from Japan, students from China, students that were disabled, students that were transgender. You name it, we had it. And I saw the power of inclusion in the classroom. People had different ideas, different solutions, different perspectives. It really helped form my mindset around the power of inclusion. And upon graduation, I worked in Silicon Valley for about a decade. And then I had a mentor who saw something in me that I didn't see in myself. And my mentor created this opportunity in Japan for me. So 7 years ago, I moved from Silicon Valley to Japan to become a diversity and inclusion manager. And there's a difference between a mentor and a senpai and kohai. Senpai and kohai denotes hierarchy. And also, it's someone that you work with. But actually, mentors are more flexible. They could be someone younger than you, older or same age, or actually be outside of your company. So he really believed in me, and he encouraged me to take a risk. And when I hesitated, he said, Janelle, Japan will change your life. And he's been right. It's been an opportunity of a lifetime to live and work in Japan and to help Japan with its challenges around diversity and inclusion. So, how do you define diversity and inclusion? Diversity is the what. Inclusion is the how. And in Japan, people think that diversity means only gender, but it's actually more than that. It's generations, it's cultural diversity, right? It's perspectives, it's LGBTQ. There's many different types of diversity. And inclusion is the how and the action part of diversity and inclusion. And so by being diverse, by being inclusive, we can tap into the human potential. We can become innovative and impact the bottom line. You need both diversity and inclusion to be successful in Japan. And there's a business proposition of inclusion to reach leadership, to reach the market by hiring diverse talent, and that diverse talent feels included or one team, then that leads to better engagement or satisfaction. And that drives productivity. And productivity drives innovation and profit and also market leadership. And the cycle begins all over again. There's so much power with diversity and inclusion, yet there are many challenges. When I first came to Japan, I experienced many biases and prejudices being a foreigner who looks Japanese but can't speak very well Japanese, and also being a female as well, trying to execute diversity and inclusion. And also, I had to really change my work style. I had to be more consensus driven. And I knew right away The meetings are different in Japan, where, in Silicon Valley, you need to make a decision. But in Japan, the decision's already made once you get to a meeting, and there's just a rubber stamp. So I knew the differences in work style. So as you could see, starting a diversity and inclusion program was like treading the Sahara Desert. It was very slow progress, and it was hard with nothing in place. But then you keep going, and then you find some oasis, like senior leadership commitment, engaging all levels of the organization, and also making diversity inclusion as a business strategy, not just a CSR initiative. And the other thing that was very, very difficult was in Japan, everyone knows this phrase, I'm sure, the nail that sticks out gets hammered in. Being different sometimes creates tensions in Japan, right? So in Silicon Valley, where differences are embraced and being yourself is supported, Japan is very different from that perspective. And with diversity and inclusion, you need a lot of different kinds of nails. And then you need those nails to feel included. And then you need the culture to support that some nails may stick up or not. So this was very challenging for me. Oh, sorry. I think I'm kind of missing some slides, but that's okay. So anyway, basically after coming to Japan, right, I had to teach diversity and inclusion. And inclusion was really, really hard. And the reason is because inclusion is not even in the vocabulary in Japan. There's no kanji for inclusion. So I've had to do a lot of training sessions around create your own kanji for inclusion. And so people have said, oh, juyo, which is acceptance. Some people have said love is acceptance. So basically everybody really wrote what it personally meant to them. So D&I starts with the individual. And for me, these are some of the simple ways that you can be inclusive. It's not rocket science, right? And here's a better way to be inclusive and have inclusive behavior. And as an example for myself in Japan, what I do to build inclusion is I mentor both women and men on sharing visible career paths and role models. In addition to that, I created networks that didn't exist, such as our Women Athletes Business Network, which we started in Japan to support former Olympians and professional athletes in Japan to help them think about their second career. And then third way I try to behave in an inclusive way is my secret weapon. I smile. I smile. So let's try to make Japan a better place and the world a better place by practicing inclusion, because inclusion starts with yourself. Inclusion starts with me. You have to reflect on inclusion and what it personally means to you. Inclusion starts with I. Thank you very much.